Good evening, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I welcome Mr. Arman Khan, and he will speak on the topic Sustainable Agriculture Solution for Tackling Water Scarcity and Mitigating Climate Change Using Organic SAP. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to join and speak over this topic that everyone is looking for. So I welcome everyone. Today we will be discussing a critical intersection of science, sustainability, and global food security. So basically, we will be exploring a breakthrough utilizing organic super absorbent polymers to tackle the water scarcity and mitigate the climate changes. So before we go into the solution, we must also look into the unprecedented scale of the problem. We are currently in the midst of agriculture resilient recession, and anthropogenic climate change has already slashed the global farming by reducing the global farming productivity by 21% since the 1961. All these have a toll on the agriculture as well as on the food security. The drivers, this is driven by a severe reduction in the available water for irrigation and a staggering 40% degradation of global lands. This introduces a very drastic and a very dramatic problem every farmer faces in India. That includes the marginal and the less land owned farmers, and even the farmers that have the land size beyond 2 hectares of total dimensions. So the less available water is one of the greatest problem that can have a penalty toll over the productivity less, 40% land degradation, and the 15.7, that's the statistics that has been shared with the income erosion. Now, for the agriculture breakpoint, behind these macro statistics is a harsh reality for farming communities. Weather volatility and pest pressures are destroying livelihoods. In just the last 2 years, farmers are reporting a devastating average income loss of 15.7%, with the 68% of the sown agriculture land areas are subjected to the drought and severe water stress conditions. Every year, we are going down by the groundwater table at the rate of 0.3 meters. That is a very drastic rate, which increases the cost of irrigation. And including the economic reality, over 50 million farmers are facing this reality checkpoint with suffering directly or indirectly from the water scarcity problem. So what could be the solution? So I'll be sharing some of the insights about the super absorbents. Super absorbent polymers are cross-linked polymers. They help to absorb a huge amount of water inside their premises, transforming into a very stable hydrogel. What are the key types? The key types include the sodium polyacrylate, polyacrylamide copolymers, and some of the natural and bio-based SAPs. So super absorbent polymers goes by the acronym of SAPs. Sustainable alternatives of the organic biopolymers goes with the starch grafted, cellulose based, and alginates. And many of these have been introduced in the primarily applications of hygiene industries, where it goes into the diaper segment, the feminine care, agriculture segment that will be continuing through this session, into the medical segment, which includes the absorption and adsorption of heavy metal wastes. In many of the industries, they are being used for the electrical tapes and protecting the critical infrastructure as well. They are also used in the spill control and the cleaning processes. So, by all these primarily applications, super absorbent polymer industry is reaching its prime year by year since the era of 1960s. If we talk about the organic super absorbent polymer, what is an organic super absorbent polymer? For decades, many synthetic polymers have been derived, and their uses, their applications have made it into the various departments of industries. but their toxicity made them disastrous for the soil. If we include these organic superpolymer into the agriculture segment, they will have an impact that will I will be sharing in the next slides. So the breakthrough that is being done through the SAPs is the completely 100% biodegradable SAPs that are structured for the same mechanical inputs. That includes the hyperabsorption capacity, complete and 100% biological degradation, and improving the soil structure and the compaction rates. So we are reaching a breakpoint across these three areas with the agriculture segment by the drought segment, the resource depletion, and the economic reality. Why we are enabling the use of organic super absorbent polymers in the industry of agriculture, that is the huge part of our GDP, or we can say a huge part of our economy as well. And what are the steps that it takes to be included in this architectural division? So I have adjusted a very fine steps for you to look into that includes the bio waste resourcing or the recycling, that includes the extraction and polymerization of the waste. So basically, we deal with the extraction and polymerization of those waste that have the ability to create a biopolymer. So one of that biopolymer I'll be talking and taking into will be known as the Fasal Amrit by EF Polymer. It's one of the organic SAPs and it biodegrades completely by its complete life cycle up to the 6 months. So all these points contribute towards the sustainable and resilient agriculture methods. What are the paradigm shifts that we are including these organic SAPs and rather than relying on the traditional SAPs? The traditional or the synthetic SAPs are originated and they are based on the petrochemicals and acrylics, while the organic ones are the upcycled bio waste made up of fruit peels and vegetable peels, or the wastes that are being generated through the agriculture processes. If we take into the consideration about the water absorption for the traditional or the synthetic SCPs is having a very high capacity. Some goes beyond a cycle of 100 times to 500 times their weight, while the organic SCPs have a limitation. They go up to 100 times and till a beyond to near about 150 to 200 times of their own weight. Then if we talk about the soil toxicity or the harmful effects of any SAPs, some of the SAPs that are synthetic in nature, they leave or they preside a very minute but a very drastic implementations with the microplastic and chemical residues, while an organic SAP will be a safer and a very non-toxic formulation if we introduce it into the agriculture input segment. Okay, so for the end of life, persisting as in permanent soil pollutant, because it will take more than a drastic range of 6 to 7 years for a synthetic SAP to biodegrade completely or semi-completely. And if we take consideration of an organic SAP, so it will biodegrade within a range of 180 days to a range of 1 year capacity. So the last segment, if it includes the agroecological alignment. One of them will be destructive over a long period of time, including and excluding the SDGs, that are the Sustainable Development Goals for agriculture inputs, while the organic SAPs will be a very regenerative, resilient method for soil uptake as well as the plant and crop uptake. So what will be the mechanisms of moisture uptake and how an organic SAP works in an agriculture segment? The introduction of an organic SAP into the soil, it depends on the three situations. One of them is the rapid absorption. The SAP absorbs rapidly. It swells up by its own weight up to 100 times. After it completely absorbs and retains the water, it will release the amount of moisture that it is having on demand by the process of osmotic pressure and the capillary actions of the soil and the root zone area. Also, it will help in the nutrient trapping as well as locking of the nutrient that will be leaching down or going into the local waterways, that can include the biomagnification of some of the harmful effects of fertilizer that are based on totally chemical nature. what could be the methods that can help the organic biopolymer or the SAPs that can be incorporated into the fields? So the two methods that are broadly stated into these are the seed drill method and the broadcasted method. So broadcasting and seed drill method are one of these methods that have already been introduced with the farmer. They completely use these methods in their agriculture operations while the tillage and other seams operations are being done. In the seed drill method, the SAP or the granules will be in the fertilizer bracket, and one of them will be the seeds. So while inputting the seeds into the field area, the seed drill method will allow SAP to be dropped while the seeds are being incorporated into the field. The broadcasting method seems very easy and feasible for every small and marginable farmer. Those the need of SAP will be depending on the dry conditions of the soil. They need to mix it by 3 to 4 times of the dry soil or the sand that is being present in the field area. And the broadcaster or the scattering process will be very similar to the seeding ability of the farmer while moving across the field. The recommended practice goes by moving from the four corners of the field and incorporating evenly to hold the organicity of this product. So how we are enabling a very drastic reduction in input requirements, what it can help in. So we have taken the major 2 points here. We can reduce the irrigation dependency or the water usage up to 40%. These claims are based on the university trials and the research papers that have been conducted using these SAPs and a variety of crops that has been tested with. And a reduction of 20% fertilizer goes by the same regime. So all these segments are being tested, scientifically derived, and being subjected towards using of an organic input into the soil. So how it can help, how it is being used in the reduction of water usage in the irrigation segment. It holds the good amount of moisture for a longer duration of time. It will be increasing the irrigation intervals. While it is increasing the irrigation interval, it will also reduce the leaching down of the liquid fertilizer salts. It will entrap the salts in their matrices of the SAP. It will include the nutrient particle to be subjected to the crop's need, and the need of the crop will even depend on the type of fertilizer that is being subjected to. So many of the chemical fertilizers are even toxic at certain limitations, and if we apply beyond that, the soil will even damage the crop that is being done in the cultivation season, and the farmer's yield will drastically reduce. So I'm sharing one of the insights, like how we can shift this mindset towards the economic equation one. So if we lower the irrigation cost, if we reduce the fertilizer purchasing impacts and the need of refertilizing the field again and again by just relying over the chemical dependency, and if a farmer can hope and get a final crop yields higher than what he expects, we can assure him to at least increase his net income by a factor of 25%. So these results and the claims of the organic SAP becomes a very vital economic lifeline for every farmer's life that has been facing a harsh reality in our Indian economy. So to claim and go against these climate resilient method, I'll be discussing these two case studies in a very brief. One of them was in under the extreme arid conditions of Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, where drought seems to be a very frequent period, where farmers do not have a very huge amount of irrigation water resources, and their soil do not have a very high retention capacity of water holding. And against that, I'll be drastically comparing one of the conditions of Biparjoy cyclone that happened in the Gujarat region. So upon these two regions and different climatic extremes, let me share you one of the farmer that we noted and had the same situation with the drought-like conditions was Devi Singh Bhati. He belongs from the Jaisalmer region, and with the drought season coming, his farmland was drastically reduced with the yield capacity. He was not able to input a very large amount for his farming land, resulting into a very lesser amount of yield before he used an organic SAP like Fasal Amrit. And just like that, after he used the Fasal Amrit, his yield improved, his land's ability to have a fertile yield improved, and his total water holding capacity to hold a good amount of moisture in the soil area where the root zone will happen has been improved. And these all have been subjected and researched based on the Directorate of Science, where many research scientists were involved. Also, the SAP's ability to aerate the soil pores, to reduce the compaction, and to uphold a very high level of water has enabled this organic SAP or the super absorbent polymer to even work under the cyclonic conditions, just like that happened in the Biparjoy of Gujarat. And this has helped the farmers to cope up with the crop loss, the yield loss. And this data has been incorporated and been shared by the farm bridge cotton growers that were under the cyclonic effect of the Biparjoy. Apart from all these, let me also tell you the healing mechanism which shares the soil microbial growth inside the soil regime. So one of them is the dynamic aeration. Whenever the SAP is involved, it will swell up, and after it swells, it will also shrink. So it will have a very microscopic level of plowing in the soil, which will eventually prevent the lethal soil compaction, which reduces the crop root growth. And the second one will be the microbial vigor. So while we discuss the microbial vigor, there are many microbes that are essential for the plant growth as well as for the soil health environment. By maintaining a very stable moisture content in the soil and to provide a very less toxic environment to the microbes, these bacteria and some of the earthworms that are beneficial for the biodegradation of some of the organic matter that helps in the nutrient uptake of the plant have been observed to be very beneficial whenever the organic SAPs are being introduced. And the third most common one that all of the companies and all of the agriculture input situations are being using for their field is the erosion defense. The hydrated gel will make a network that will be over the topsoil or just below the topsoil to reduce the wind impact and the water erosion impact whenever there's a high speed wind occurring or a very high current of water erosion can happen to reduce the soil fertility. But the use of any organic, completely biodegradable SAP like Fasal Amrit can help reducing this erosion defense as well. So, going by the name of Fasal Amrit, this 100% biodegradable solution has till date completely aligned with the planetary boundaries of saving about a 1 billion liter of water saving context. It can help to reach farmers where water situations are being drastically minimized. So we can spread out this awareness. This has also reduced the emissions of greenhouse gases by the reduction of about 57% of carbon footprint, which has been occurred by reducing the pumping and the synthetic fertilizer use effect. And all of these have been achieved by bio-waste recycling of over 6.5 metric tons of bio-waste by diverting the fruit and agriculture waste from the landfills into the circular economic conditions. As the motto of our EF Polymer goes, that Mother Nature has a solution for every problem, and we cannot engineer our way out of every ecological crisis during the same chemical intervention that caused them. So, by turning into a more sustainable, more crop resilient method that can be introduced using an organic SAP solution, we can work with the nature and not against it. So this was my presentation. Thank you so much. And if any questions and discussion is being there, I'll be very helpful and answerable to them.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for your informative presentation. I will take up the questions now. In the meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen, sir, so that we can see your full video?
Yes, yes, ma'am, sure.
Okay. The first question is, how long does the water retention effect of organic SAP last after application?
Sorry, ma'am, your voice missed. Can you repeat that again?
Okay, I'll repeat it. How long does the water retention effect of organic SAP last after application?
Yes, including the organic nature of the SAP, because it is derived completely from the organic polymers, the completely, or we can say the 100% potential of the SAP will not be under the second cycle or the third cycle of the repeated absorption capacity of the SAP. But as we have seen and as we have undergone these uses of SAPs on a regular basis, we have observed like it is very gradually decreasing its own capacity, like 0.05% of its original capacity reduces after the repeated cycle.
Okay. In which crops or soil types does organic SAP show the best results?
So, thank you so much for this question. There is no such crop that cannot handle an organic SAP, but we can say that every soil type will have a range of organic capacity to be introduced with an organic SAP. So, with going from a very clay type of soil, the amount or the dosage of the chemical SAPs or the organic SAPs, they are drastically shifted from a lower dose to a higher dose, while going from the clay segment to a very sandy segment. So that goes same for the organic SAPs as well.
Okay. Can small and marginal farmers easily adopt this technology in terms of cost and application?
Yes, if the farmers are being educated well enough to reduce their usage and the purchasing ability of chemical fertilizer, and to use that purchasing power to introduce an organic solution into their field for a very sustainable and a longer period of farming ability, so they will be benefiting for every rupee they spend. From an analysis of an economic aspect of various crops, we have a scenario of every farmer can get at least 3 rupee by investing a single rupee into an organic SAP for at least of about 18 months scenario.
Okay. How does the use of organic SAP contribute to climate change mitigation?
Yes. So SAPs are basically the absorbent polymers that have the ability to restore and absorb a great amount of water into them, while the organic SAPs are different categories of SAP that are being upcycled from the waste that are generated from either agriculture segment or some of the industries that use the fruit and food waste. So while upcycling those fruit and food waste, we are also reducing the impact of any generative waste on the land, and we are also reducing the carbon footprints while reducing the water impact strategies. Reduction of water also reduces the impact and the use of every diesel or engineered power machinery that enables the extraction of groundwater resources.
Okay. Does it help in reducing irrigation frequency and groundwater dependency? If yes, by how much?
Yes. So, through the research scientists' help and conducting the university trials, we have observed like at least by 3 to 4 days interval gap can be achieved with the recommended dose of SAP under an irrigated conditions, and also it helps to reduce the stress conditions or the stress tolerant period under the rain-fed conditions of the farmlands.
Okay. What were the major challenges faced during development of this product at the EF Polymer Private Limited?
Yes. So major challenges were to introduce this kind of organic solution into the chemical segmented work of every farmer that are using the heavily chemical dependent farming techniques, because chemical farming techniques after the introduction of green revolution have enabled every farmer to have their cost input being done in the chemical segment only, and many of them are not knowledgeable about the use of every organic solution that is being provided in the market. So one of the challenges that was during the formulation was also, if a farmer needs to use this product, he will be needing a very true guidance about what an organic solution could be and how, or over a long period of time, how he will be benefited from it.
Okay. How is this product environmentally safe and biodegradable?
So we are currently having a bunch of certifications, organic certifications, and the factory licensing. Even the product, while it is being manufactured or the product is being made, it is being completely inspected under the organic segment only. So even by the government's NPOP policy, that is the National Policy on Organic Product, we are very fortunate to receive that certificate as well. That goes from the purchasing of a raw material to the end cycle while the customer receives the end product. So while dictating the organic nature, we also do not compromise with the organicity of every process that includes the making of this product as well.
What is the current market acceptance of organic SAP in India?
Okay, so I do not have a correct or the accurate number, but with the defining statistics that are being involved in this current scenario, it is only about or just below the marginable percentage of 25 to 30%. That is the acceptance range of every farmer in our country that are being introduced with this organic SAP. This could be the limitation introduced with the monetary acceptance or the marketing reach of every product like organic for Fasal Amrit like product through every farming segment of India.
Okay. Are there any government schemes or support systems promoting such technologies?
Yes, there are. There are some watershed management programs introduced by every state government policies. There are some organic matter inclusion policies through the SAUs, like state agriculture universities, to promote the use of any product that enables the farmer to introduce a good amount of soil organic content to their ongoing practices. Because of the use of any chemical-based fertilizer, by the gradual years, the fertility is removed, and by incorporating any organic solution like these, that will help the farmer to cope up in the upcoming years of drastic change in the fertility.
Okay. Are there any limitations or conditions where organic SAP may not be effective?
There are some certain conditions. Those conditions also affect the synthetic SAPs as well. Those conditions could be the high EC soil type and high amount of salt content in the soil regime, because it entraps the ability of the SAP to have or absorb more amount of water. So it will reduce the performance of the SAP while not degrading it. So the salt conditions of the soil or the saline conditions of the soil are the major contributors towards this end.
Okay. What precautions should farmers take while using it?
The farmers should take the precaution. The one of them major is the application method, because the SAPs are meant to restore or have a good moisture ability towards the root zone area. If the farmers introduce it towards the topsoil, the more amount of moisture will be retained over the topsoil, while the roots will be deprived of the moisture conditions. So farmer needs to have a good application guidance and the application dosages.
Okay. What advice would you give to farmers facing severe water scarcity today?
The limited use of any organic segment product, like even the use of vermicompost, the farmers are not being introduced very well. And products such as these organic SAPs should be very well taught and made knowledgeable to the farmers, so that they can gain the maximum benefit of the organic nature SAPs while conserving the nature, the soil biofloras, and have the good amount of yield while not compromising their own health, the degrading environment, and the soil's natural fertility.
Okay. How can agri entrepreneurs or startups collaborate with your company or adapt this technology?
So every company needs to have a very specific goal to reach a very sustainable part of their segment. So the need and the use of sustainability towards the farming segment, like even the potato growers are being introduced with such SAP conditions to make their soil more friable. The growers of sugarcane industries are also being introduced with such organic SAPs to increase the bricks capacity of the cane juice naturally by making crops more resilient. So more and more companies are adapting towards this organic segment by reducing their carbon footprint events, as well as adapting towards a more climate resilient method.
Okay, I have completed the questions from our side, sir. We have few participants logged in. I will request the participants to unmute their mics and ask questions if you people have any question.
Sure.
Participants can unmute your mic. I presume there is no further questions, sir. Thank you very much. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we would like to thank Mr. Arman Khan for the talk and for answering the questions. This meeting will now be closed.
Thank you so much. It has been a delight for
Most
me
welcome,
to.
sir.
Yes, thank you.